Hi, welcome to the chemistry edition of Darling Fish channel. My name is X-Coco and I'm delighted to present to you mole calculations part 2. In this lesson, we'll look at molar volume, which is Vm, amount of substance concentration or molarity, that is with a symbol C. So now let's start with the formula. We have N to be equal to V over Vm. That is the number of moles is equal to volume over molar volume. Molar volume is a constant which is 22.4. So take note of that. Volume is in dm cube, or we can say it is in liter. So we have 1 liter to be equal to 1000 cm cube is equal to 1 dm cube. In the previous lesson, we also looked at this formula, which is N is equal to mass over molar mass. So since we have N to be equal to this and this N to be equal to V over Vm, we can equate the two formulas, and that will give us V over Vm to be equal to mass over molar mass. Please take note of this. You can be asked to calculate the volume, you can be asked to calculate mass or molar mass, depending on the nature of the question. Now let's begin with the calculation. Let's take the first example. So in this example, we are to calculate the volume occupied by 0.25 moles of methane gas at STP. Vm is given here, which is 22.4. Now from what we have been given, we have N here to be equal to 0.25 moles. Vm is also known here. So by making V the subject, you will get V is equal to N times Vm, and that will be 0.25 times 22.4, which is equal to 5.6 dm cube. Nice try. Now let's look at the second one. In this second example, we are to calculate the molar mass and hence the atomic mass of X. Take note of this. The mass is given here, so you can put the mass down. M is equal to 17.75 grams of a gaseous compound, X2O5, which occupied a volume of, take note of this one too, V is equal to 2.8 dm cube at STP. We have been given Vm. So what do we need from this? Since we know mass, we know volume and Vm, we can determine the molar mass from this. So let's look at the calculation. We have V over Vm to be equal to mass over molar mass. V was given as 2.8. Molar volume, which is constant 22.4, is here. Then the mass is 17.75 grams. So if you do the substitution, you will get molar mass to be equal to 142 grams per mole. Now let's determine the atomic mass. From the previous lesson, we said that for you to determine molar mass, we equate it to the compound given. So we have 2x plus 5 times oxygen. So molar mass, which is known now, which is 142, is equal to 2x plus 5 times 16. That is the atomic mass of oxygen. So after deducing from here, we will get x to be equal to 31. That is a simple way of solving this. Now let us look at the second example. It reads, a gas X2O5 occupied a volume of 5.6 dm cube. So volume has been given at STP. Calculate the molar mass and hence the atomic mass of X if the mass of the gas was found to be 35.5 grams. In this question too, we know the mass, we know volume, and we have molar volume, which is 22.4. So what do? We use the same formula, which is V over Vm is equal to mass over molar mass, which is 5.6 volume divided by 22.4, which is equal to 35.5 over the M molar mass. M here is also equal to 142 grams per mole. So as we did for the first one, we equate that to the compound. So that is 142, which is equal to 2x plus 5 times oxygen. So after deducing from this, you will get x to be equal to 31. All right, so now let's look at molarity, or amount of substance concentration, with a symbol C. Take note of this. The unit is molar, or mole per dm cube. The molar here is not molar mass. That is the unit for concentration. So we have C to be equal to N over V. That is the mole over the volume, which is supposed to be in dm cube. So whenever you are given volume in cm cube, you convert that to dm cube. But N here is equal to mass over molar mass. So in place of this N, we can insert mass over molar mass, and that will give us C to be equal to mass over molar mass times the volume. We can also make M here the subject, and that will give us M is equal to the concentration times molar mass times volume. So depending on the nature of the question given, you can be asked to solve for molar mass, you can be asked to solve for volume, mass, and concentration as well. I hope you are ready now. Now let's take the first example. The question reads, an experiment calls for the addition to a reaction a vessel of 0.184 grams of sodium hydroxide in aqueous solution. How many centimeters cube of 0.15 molar sodium hydroxide should be added? Now let's go back to the question. In this question, we have mass given to us. We also know the compound that we are going to work with. Then over here, we have the concentration. So we have three things that we have to work with. We know mass. We know from this that we can get the molar mass. And from this, we have concentration. So making V the subject from the formulas that we talked about, V will be equal to mass over C times M. So we insert the figures given. The mass was 0.184, concentration 0.150, then the molar mass from this will give you 40. So when you divide, that will give you 0.03067 dm cube. Take note, the question said we are to solve in centimeter cube. So after getting the answer in dm cube, you convert it to cm cube, and V will be equal to 0.3066 times 1000, which will give you 30.67 cm cube. So please take note of that. Let's look at the second one. In this second example, we are to calculate the mass of calcium carbonate needed to prepare the volume here, which is 500 cm cube of its solution of concentration 1.2. So in this question, we know volume, we know concentration, and we have been asked to determine the mass. Now, what can we get from this compound? We can get molar mass. So please take note of that. So after solving for molar mass, we had 100 grams per mole. So M here is equal to concentration times molar mass times volume. So 1.2, which is in the question for concentration, molar mass, which is obtained 100, times the volume given in the question. That is 500 divided by 1000. That is why we have 0.5 here. So we converted the volume from cm cube to dm cube. And finally, we have 60 grams to be our answer. Please kindly subscribe to this channel for more of our presentation.